independent down in Columbus, let me tell you. It's all about big business. It's not about you and I, the working class folks. So if we just keep pushing it, you know, we'll win the media war. You know, it's like, you guys want to create jobs. Well, here's a bill that says it's going to create jobs. Okay? So you can't give up. We got to keep fighting.
Let me say something to that question. Doing nothing leads to nothing. I think that's it. Yeah, we may not get this passed, but as my mom always told me, closed mouth don't get fed.
That's right.
You gotta ask.
And I want to encourage, that's why I celebrated you all and I celebrated them for the democratic process. We live in a democracy and we don't elect officials to do what's easy. We don't elect them to do, you know, nothing. We elect them to do something. So I applaud these guys for introducing legislation that invites us into the process and invites us into a market of actually working and getting back to work. That's what this is about. So it's not about doing what's easy. We could all just sit down, but had Dr. King just sat down, a lot of changes would not have been made. And if you guys have an opportunity, take a look at his ability to organize, his ability to employ democracy on behalf of disenfranchised citizens. He was killed fighting for workers' rights in Tennessee.
That's right.
Sanitation workers. You know, he got assassinated on his watch doing that very thing. And here we are again. We're back here again. And so I'm encouraging everybody, don't go with the defeatist attitude. If you have any get up and go in you, any fight in you, stay the course.
Go do it.
We got a team, and we can work with them to get what it is we want, because we live in a democracy, okay?
Our next question is.
I think he had a comment. He had a comment.
You had a comment.
Yeah, I was just going to say very briefly. A few years ago, a group of us took some buses down to Columbus to protest around some educational policies that they were implementing. And so some of us had a chance to walk in on the Republican caucus, on the Republican committee, education committee. And when we walked in, you would have thought the Black Panther Party walked in. And so, you know, sometimes we have to show off in mass, right? As the sister was saying, to express our needs and maybe do some protests and get some activism going.
Our next question presented is, what are the obstacles to the passage of this bill?
Well, I think there's one real political obstacle right now, and it's obviously the Republican Party. But let me say this. You know, every general session, it's a 2-year general session, a General Assembly, I'm sorry, there's usually about 600, 700, 800 bills that are introduced, all right? And out of the 600 or 700, maybe about, I don't know, 15%, 20% at most will pass any General Assembly. Usually those bills take you know, they get introduced in one General Assembly, they kind of get vetted around. Sometimes they'll get passed out the first General Assembly, but usually it takes a General Assembly or two for something to you know, kind of get some legs, get organized, get people around it, and vet it out and enact it. Part of it is I got to tell you, I think part of it is the economy. I don't think the economy is, I hate to say this, right? I don't know the economy is going to go gangbusters in the next year and a half. I don't think we're all of a sudden going to get down to 4% unemployment. I got a feeling the unemployment rate is going to be, you know, best case scenario 7.5%, 7%. But by the time President Obama is up for election again in 2012.
GDP in 5 years?
So part of it is that there's not going to, it seems to me that there's not going to be this massive new job sources out there, and that ideas like this are going to be more in play. Right now, we just introduced this bill, right? And we're going to push it, and we're going to yell and scream and rave, but it may take a year, year and a half, 2 years before something actually happens. And part of that's going to be both politics, part of it's going to be just a sense of the economy, what happens with the economy.
Our next question here. It says, will there be available training for the jobs that are in this bill? Would the training programs be financed through this program?
Yeah, that's a great question, because the worst thing you want to do is create a public jobs program and then see it be a boondoggle, right? I mean, I don't want to see that. I want this to be seen as something that is effective, community-oriented, and does what it's supposed to do. So, yeah, at least the way we have this thing structured is that there's an administration at the top. There would be, each county, there's like a county administrator, and then 50 people who are going to work, at least 50. In the larger counties, there would be more than 50, okay? And that there would be money set aside for training. So some of the stuff we've got is like lead paint abatement. Yeah. Construction, helping, do painting in senior citizens' homes, residential construction, maintenance, and deconstruction of homes. You've got kind of huge old kind of woods-based housing stock, and especially in Northeast Ohio, that still has a whole bunch of valuable stuff in it, and there's a lot of, it's kind of whole effort about deconstruction of kind of the housing stock when properties are going to be torn down. Soil and water conservation is a big issue, especially in Northeast Ohio, and so there has to be training for that. One of the things you talk about is cemetery maintenance. There's a lot of these large kind of legacy old cemeteries that don't have the workers anymore to kind of keep them up and maintain them. So we want to be able to, look, cemeteries are important places, right? They're honorable places for folks. We want to be able to have kind of some of these folks going in to help do cemetery maintenance, and obviously you're going to have to be training for that. So yeah, there's money available for training. As I say, this is not going to make you rich. This is not going to give you, if you get one of these jobs, you're not going to be able to spend summers in Tahiti, right? Hopefully it's a living wage at $27,500 plus benefits. We want to make sure benefits are paid out of this, healthcare benefits and the benefits that all state employees get. And that it'll get money from the ground up back into the economy. Yes, training's available.
Our next question: how will an OWPA director overseeing the hiring field of workers? He says there are jobs for semi-skilled and skilled workers. How about clerical workers and supervisory positions? Are they available? So how will this take place under the director?
I'm going to say that I'm not going to say I have all the answers on how this thing is going to play itself out, and part of that gets played out through the committee process as you develop legislation for something like this, right? But there would, our idea is that there'd be a statewide administration. We were thinking, I don't want to make this so, kind of administration heavy either. I want it to be something that you've got real people who are doing, kind of really, who've got a vision, kind of a calling to do this stuff, at least in terms of administrators. So our top job, I think we're going to pay people, the top administrator, no more than $75,000 a year, right? Which is a good salary, no doubt about it. It's a good salary, but you look at the other administrators of other departments, and they're way up in the hundreds and 20s and 30s and 40s. So I want somebody who's got a vision and really wants to see this sees this as a calling to take this job and help develop a really strong program. So sure, there's going to have to be some clerical workers. There's going to have to be local supervisors and kind of job site supervisors. But I really do want this to be people out in the field, mostly, kind of doing the work that's going to benefit the community, right? That people will see, right? And so, I want people in Akron and Summit County every once in a while to see, I don't know, someone painting a house or deconstructing a house, and they've got OWPA on their back, right? And they can see people actually working. I think one of the problems we had with the stimulus program from 2010, you know, from the federal government, was that it wasn't tangible. You couldn't get your arms around it. There's a lot of money kind of came in the economy, but it wasn't, you know, one of the things like medical records archiving. You know, how do you touch and feel medical records archiving, right? So I want this to be